and the whole drama over at Amazon MGM with the Amazon execs fighting with the Broccolis about the future of James Bond and everything else. Oh my God, when are we going to get another stinking Bond? And everyone's like, who's going to head up Bond? Right? We finally have an answer. Denis Villeneuve is going to direct the next James Bond film at Amazon. So we know he's done with Dune after Dune Messiah, right? But this is the guy that did Blade Runner, Arrival. Now is what's going to be 3 Dune movies. I basically haven't seen anything of this guy's that's not good, right? Like, he's going to direct the next James Bond movie for Amazon MGM Studios. Jay, what do you think of this choice for a director for James Bond?
when when I think James Bond, I do not think Blade Runner or Dune. Um, he did direct Sicario, which
Another
was
great movie.
another great movie. That's more, I think, in tune with what James Bond,
Mm-hmm.
like how I envision James Bond.
Yep.
Uh, but no, I mean, this guy has like I'm looking at it. This guy has a really great resume. So I'm sure it's going to be great. Um, I'm I would be kind of interested because all of his like very recent stuff, Dune, Blade Runner, Arrival, I'd be really interested if he can like bring on like a different, I don't know, style or feeling of James Bond that we haven't seen. That makes sense. Like James Bond movies are they're not as bad as Mission Impossible movies, but they kind of do all feel the
Well,
same, if that makes sense.
and that was kind of what happened with the last iteration of Bond is they went really dark, right? It was very gritty, very realistic. The Daniel Craig Bond was not fantastical really at
Yeah.
all. My only concern with this pick is my personal hope prior to this was they were going to go back to kind of like a classic Bond, less gritty, more fun, right? A guy who likes being the debonair guy who, you know, drinks and hooks up and does the thing. And, Pierce Brosnan and Sean Connery are my 2 favorite 007s, right? And both of them had this humor to them, right? That Daniel Craig did not have, right? The Daniel Craig Bond was not amused ever at anything, by anything. Um, so I was hoping that Amazon was going to kind of go back a little bit and do that, which I don't think Denis Villeneuve is going to do, right? I don't see that. That being said, he is an auteur filmmaker. You're right. Maybe he will bring us a Bond we've never seen before. What I hope is it's not a retread of this gritty Daniel Craig, like grumpy ass Bond that we've had for the last number of years.
or or it just might be some of the same.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting pick.
I think it's a solid pick. Who's the new James Bond?
They haven't
Have
said
we
yet. They just announced the director, and Denis Villeneuve's going to have some say in that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, so now that we know, it was actually a good one. So GB News has this 3 front runners for 007. Here are the 3 front runners. That's a really weird group. Tom Holland, Jacob Elordi, and Harris Dickinson, or Timothy Chalamet. I don't like any of those. I like none of them.
Um.
No. I just don't see it. Yeah, I really don't. I don't like any one of those.
Yeah.
I think I like Idris Elba Twitch chat, but I think he's too old. He's 52. Like if they'd gotten to him, hell, even 10 years ago, right? Because whoever you pick for your Bond, you need at least 7 to 9 years, because you need at least 3 movies out of him before you change again. And that takes 7 to 9 years. And so I don't think Idris Elba at the age of 52 is going to sign on for 7 years. Ooh, somebody in the YouTube chat just brought up a really good one. Nicholas Hoult. That one I would, yep. I love that idea. Absolutely love that idea. Lex Luthor and James Bond? What? And Beast? Yes, let's go. Nicholas Hoult. Ooh, I hadn't thought of that. That's a good one. And he is British. And he's a good actor.
So this is really interesting. I'm reading this like kind of article from GQ about Tom Holland. Yes. Which he is young. Like he could do a trilogy of James Bond movies just fine. I think he could also like maybe bring some of that lightheartedness of James Bond that you're kind of wanting.
He's too short.
He is really short, but something that's really interesting is that it says that he pitched doing a James Bond origin story. James Bond is like a lot younger, I guess, like kind of being trained. He pitched it, it didn't work out, and that's actually what gave him the lead role of Uncharted. But that would be kind of interesting, like a younger James Bond.
Yeah.
Who's not really all that good and kind of stumbles every now and then.
It could be. Somebody in Twitch chat saying Holt's too skinny. You can make anybody big. Look, seriously, go watch what Hugh Jackman does for Wolverine appearances. He's not that big normally, right? He's talked extensively about the 6 to 9 months worth of work that he puts in to get that big again every time he goes back to play Wolverine. Very few people are really naturally that big, right? So again, Nicholas Hoult, you could beef him up, but I don't think Bond needs to be burly per se. I can't think of really a burly Bond we've ever had.
No.
Yeah. I mean, he's in shape, but I don't think that's a requirement for the character. I think Nicholas Hoult is my favorite. That's a good one. And he's young enough to where he could do it for 10 years. You know.
That is also true, yeah.
He's like 35. So signing a 10-year deal to do that. Now, I don't know what his schedule's going to look like with DC stuff, with him tagged to play Lex Luthor. I don't know what kind of deal he signed with Warner Brothers to play Lex, so that could get in the way as well. But we'll see. Anyway, thought that was some interesting movie news, so wanted to throw that in there.